What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I'm super excited to introduce my next guest to you. She is a coach, she's a consultant, and she's the founder of the Empowered Healers Academy, which is all about helping to create authentic business growth for acupuncturists and healers. And their mission is big and profound, and it's to shift the consciousness of the planet, which is something that we really need, I believe. So I appreciate the work that she's doing. She says that the world does not need more self-help books. The world needs more healers like you who are standing in your power, guiding people back to their power. So please welcome to the show, Kelsey Eigler.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and sharing some time with us. Hopefully, we can pull some experience and some stories from you and gain some insight from your journey.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
So I was doing a little research on you, as I kind of do on all my guests before we got started here today. And I came across a post that you had made on Facebook. I was wondering if you could share that story with us. But basically, you were talking about how you found some old videos on your MacBook. And something happened in the video where you stopped talking, you stopped recording. And seeing that, later in life, it kind of had an impact on you. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Damn, you really did your research because that was a while back that I posted that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Yeah, I used to. So I would start videos, and that's the hardest part because when you're an entrepreneur, you're working in your office, you're by yourself, and when you're with someone, you can't really edit yourself. When you're by yourself, if you make a mistake, it's really easy to shut the camera off. And that's what would commonly happen. I was so hard on myself. Like I couldn't make the smallest error. It was like, I might as well be an employee because this boss right here was the worst. That was the worst boss that I had ever had. So anytime that I was trying to sit down and be creative, even though I was really doing it to serve other people, I couldn't get out of my own way. And that would happen all the time. And finding that video really jarred me because I'm seriously impressed that you found that post. I remember that because I saw myself screw up and then I sat there and I looked down and I got frustrated and I turned the camera off. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and content creators deal with that because you're so hard on yourself. And the reality is you have so much to provide. You have so much value to provide and people want that authenticity anyways. Like if you screw up, that's what makes you human. And that's what, especially in this world now where there's a lot of, there's fake boobs, there's fake food, there's fake news, like everything is fake. I really do believe that people just want someone who's real to lead them and to show them what else is possible. So yeah, that was tough though. And I think it's a big struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to bring that up because, I agree. I feel like in a world today where everything is Instagram perfect,
Yeah.
people are very judgmental on themselves and their life. And, they see this fake reality as someone else's quote unquote life, and they feel like they have to live up to it. And business today is about putting content out there because, marketing has changed. Obviously, we'll get into the whole digital marketing thing, but yeah, it's just interesting how we are hard on ourselves and we don't really present ourselves for who we are, always trying to present something that's bigger or better than where we're actually at. But you're right. I think the audience wants that authenticity, and they certainly can see when you're faking it. So anyway, I just thought that was really neat because I've been there, and I know I have those videos on my computer too, and I definitely related to that.
Yeah. Oh, and I think if I can give one piece of advice is to not delete them because I would try and hide all of my mistakes. And I used to go through my Facebook and do a sweep and delete anything I was embarrassed of. But then you're deleting all the evidence of where you came from, and those moments, they're pretty profound to look back on when you are in a place of growth. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you got into entrepreneurship and business. And, is this something that you've always done or did you used to have a regular job? Like, how did this work out?
Yeah, for sure. So, I think a lot of people can relate to, even just being in elementary, junior high, and high school, something always felt wrong with the situation. I never felt like I fit in even to that box. I saw a Gary Vee quote yesterday that was pretty profound, and it was I I didn't fail school. School failed me. School fails entrepreneurs every single day because it's not set up for entrepreneurs. It's set up for workers. And that's really what it felt like. And I was a really troubled teen. And I ended up getting expelled from every high school or every public school in my city. So I was at like 16 years old, which is crazy. And I'm so grateful for that experience because I remember saying to myself with so much conviction, I'm going to be wildly successful without an education. And while I'm not wildly successful yet in terms of like financial wealth, I suppose we'll say, not a millionaire yet, if that's the standard of success, I have come so far with business. And I'm so grateful that I was expelled from school because who knows, I could be working a regular job. However, I did go the path of chasing the money. And so I became a heavy equipment operator. And I would listen to podcasts all day long and like take notes in my little notebook and basically listen to, mentors. Ed Milet is one of them, John Maxwell, listening to as many entrepreneurs as possible, even while I was stuck in that equipment, to really start to educate myself on what else is possible with entrepreneurship, which when you can get the mindset of entrepreneurship while you're an employee, feel like that is a huge motivator to get out of employment and like into entrepreneurship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And it's crazy because that's literally what happened to me. I was also in construction industry, and for 10 years I did electrical work. And towards like the last 3 or 4 years, I was really getting fed up with it. And the industry is negative. The people that work there are negative. They hate their jobs. They hate their bosses. They don't want to be doing anything.
So crazy.
I was listening to podcasts to get away from it all. And I started listening to entrepreneurial podcasts, and it started, like the self-help stuff and, personal development. And before you know it, I'm like, I've got all these ideas and I'm like, I can do this. I can figure this out, And that's literally what I attribute my entrepreneurial journey to, as a podcast, which again is why I created this one. So it's crazy to hear you say that. I was literally right there too.
Oh my gosh, what a gift. That's incredible. And for you to be making this podcast, because I'm sure it's for aspiring entrepreneurs, right? Like, what a beautiful gift for you to give to aspiring entrepreneurs, because it is like, just like you said, just to shut off all that negativity. A lot of those people in those construction industries, especially, but in any career, there's just so much unhappiness and people tearing each other down. And it's like, when you start to listen to these podcasts and you hear how these men, especially when you're in construction and you hear the construction lingo, and then you listen to these podcasts and how men actually articulate themselves, and like, it honestly blew my mind. And I think even if you're not an entrepreneur, listening to entrepreneur podcasts can serve anyone so greatly.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
It's the mindset piece, and once you start working on that, you realize how much there is to work on. But what's funny is, like, as you start chugging away at it, it just, every little breakthrough or every little aha, like, inspires you to keep going forward, and to the desire to learn more just continues to grow. At least that's what happened for me. And I mean, now I don't know. It's almost an obsession. It could be called a sickness. Like, I cannot stop learning. Like, I have to always be learning about something, and trying to develop myself. So it's just funny how that works. But so for you, what was the first like business venture that you ended up trying, and then how did that work out for you?
Oh man. First business venture, if we're being totally transparent, was drug dealing. So this was like
entrepreneurship at its finest. right?
It was like entrepreneurship channeled possibly in the not the most, beneficial realm. Entrepreneur though, regardless. So that's where it was. But I intuitively knew, like, this is not good. And I had so many close calls with police officers. It was ridiculous. Firstly, I have a horseshoe up my ass. Secondly, angels guiding me. So that was about almost 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago. And so I was doing that, knew that I couldn't maintain that long enough to stay out of jail. And so I left that lifestyle. And my first legit business was a coaching business, which I was not ready for. I will fully admit that I was not ready to be a coach. I think I was too young, to be totally honest. And there was a lot of lessons that I learned, and I'm still grateful for it. I don't regret it. But that would have been my first kind of business venture. And then mostly just learning. It was almost like I learned how to build a business before actually having a business to build. If that makes any sense. It was like I learned the marketing before I had a real strategy of what to market.
Well, yeah, it totally makes sense. And I mean, honestly, in today's world where, we have the opportunity to sell our expertise as, courses or coaching or whatever, what have you, you do have to basically learn it all right up front. Like if you're going to start a business online, you have to learn how to do everything right away. And actually, that's why a lot of people tend to steer towards like affiliate marketing, which is just selling someone else's product, because, all of the customer service and the fulfillment and everything is pushed off to the company that you're selling for. All you have to do is learn how to start speaking to an audience. But, if you're trying to do anything else, you got to learn it all. Like, you just throw yourself into it. And it seems like, because now a lot of what you do is coaching, and, you provide that consulting to, folks that are in need. It almost seems like it was just preparing you for what you're supposed to be doing. Right. So
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to start before you're ready anyways. Like there will never really be a time that you're ready. So it's almost not even fair for me and my soul's evolution to say that I wasn't ready. But it was not easy. I would say my first year was not easy. And then it started to get easier because, like you said, all of that was preparation for what is now manifesting. So I'm grateful for how it all happened. And it's just not glorious, for everyone when you're first starting. And maybe selling someone else's product at first, that could have been a good entry point. I never even considered affiliate, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was the same way. I didn't consider it at first either. And if anything, I actually felt like it was scammy. Like I didn't understand it, so I didn't feel it was good. But now it's a big part of my business. And I think, as long as you're providing solutions for problems that your people may have, you're trying to help them, you're trying to provide value, it's a win-win for everybody, really. But yeah, it does, it is just a way of approaching business without having to learn everything all at once. But I'm curious, like what some advice would be that, you might have for a starting entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur that is looking to, to bring their experience and their expertise online. They're not necessarily sure like how to get started. What's some things that they could think about?
The biggest thing that I teach my clients, my students, and myself consistently is to get to a place where you can receive judgment. Because most people don't want to put themselves out there because they're terrified that they will be judged or they will be criticized or they will be talked about. And that's absolutely going to happen. Like that's just the reality. And if you want to receive the glory and the abundance and you want to receive the testimonials, you have to be willing to receive all the other bullshit. You have to be willing to be judged. You have to be willing to receive criticism. And that, to me, is probably the biggest problem with most people and why they don't succeed, because they're unwilling to receive judgment. It's too painful.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's really powerful, actually. And it like literally, I just interacted with this earlier today. I saw my cousin on Instagram had made a post, and she's always kind of had trouble like dealing with her weight, and she's recently started a journey of trying to get healthy because she just had a baby, and so she wants to get healthy for her baby, and and just really get back in touch with who she is. And she's been documenting it and sharing it on Instagram, right? And, for no other reason than just to try to inspire anybody else out there who may also be trying to get healthy. And then she made a post earlier. Well, I'll try to keep the story short. I realize I'm rambling, but she made a post where she talked about, somebody sent her a comment and was like, you're not in shape. You're not healthy. Why are you teaching people how to do this? Like, what makes you think you can show people how to do this? And that hurt her, and
yeah.
So that's a hard thing to hear, right? And so she stopped putting out videos. She stopped putting out content because she took that person's words and that criticism to heart and created a belief around it. And then And then anyway, she ended up realizing, that her daughter had noticed that she stopped working out, because her daughter was like, "Hey mom, like, why aren't you exercising anymore?" And it just totally like blew her mind, because first of all, she didn't realize that the daughter even noticed, but then secondly, it made her realize that her daughter notices everything, and she's not going to sit here and teach her daughter how to fail and how to give up on something.
Shit.
So like for that, she's like, I gotta start doing this again. And then she made a post where she was working out and kind of showing a little video about it. And then she shared the story, and I was like, wow, I mean, it's true. Like, no matter what you do, you start putting your voice out there, people are going to criticize, they're going to judge you. And they say the haters are going to hate. Right. And it's so true. But like, what are some ways like people can learn to receive that judgment and not let it affect them? I mean, what can people do for that?
Well, what you just said was so beautiful about what she did, is that she took that experience and she leveraged it. 1,000%, if you want to heal any pain in your life, whether it's trauma from your past or whether it's being criticized on Instagram, if you leverage that pain and you use it as ammunition, as fuel, as content, now you're putting out content that is transparent. And I believe that's what people really want. It's authentic because it's a real life experience. And when we talk about, people buy from who they know, like, and trust, I teach the disruption tactic. So TAC is, if you want to create good content, you want to, if we're looking at tactic, it's kind of like my little thing. So T, you want to be transparent. A, you want to be authentic. And C, you want to connect. And that's exactly what she did. So she took her experience and she leveraged it. And that's exactly what I would do. And that's what I do now. I had a similar experience last week. I put out a video where I was talking about fear and I was educating people on fear. And someone commented it on Instagram. And she's like, "You better get your facts straight." And like, she was just like trolling me. And I was like, "Do you want to phone me so that we can have like a real conversation? Because I'm not doing this in an Instagram post." And of course, after that, she didn't call. So there's people online that are gonna troll you, and they're gonna try and get under your skin. And I feel like if you can take that experience and leverage it, teach, use it, it will not get to you. And it might get to you for a couple seconds. Like that chick's comments did get to me for a couple seconds. And then I realized, like, who is this person that has the time in their day to try and put down someone else that's actually putting themselves out there? So it's also just looking at it objectively and truly realizing it has nothing to do with you. But for a strategy, like a tactic, use it as ammunition and content creation.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I'm sorry, repeat that real quick. The TAC, what does it stand for?
Yeah. So disruption tactic. So if you want to make good content, you have to be disruptive. And so you always lead with like some sort of a disruption. And then the tactic is T, transparency, A is authenticity, and C, connect. Like truly connect with your audience.
I love that.
The heart, not the head. A lot of marketers or people who are sharing, they're creating posts that really hit you in the head. But if you create like that experience, what your cousin went through, that's going to hit someone else in the heart who's hidden themselves from putting themselves out there, right?
Yeah.
So
awesome. I love that. Okay, cool. Well, yeah. And, it really is just, I mean, unfortunately, it's the fact that the person out there is hurting more than you are. And that's why they're attacking you. Like you said, it's completely about them. So yeah, just understand, guys, if you're going to be putting content out there, you're going to put yourself out there, that's part of it. And I love what you said. You have to be able to accept the judgment in order to accept all of the beauty and the gifts and the abundance that comes with building anything, of value. So awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's go ahead and transition into the next topic, which is like the digital landscape and, social media. And I mean, we're kind of already talking about it, but it's completely changing the way, obviously, we communicate and how we do business and the way we search for things, information. What are some things that you're excited about right now, in regards to digital media and how it's working for your business?
I'm excited that I am now in a place where I'm putting content out consistently. I remember when that was really hard to do, and I think it was because of that fear of judgment. But when you start to put content out consistently, it really gets momentum. Like I had someone reach out from Australia the other day and I'm like, damn, that is exciting. Like that's really cool. And I think one of the most important things to make note of is you cannot cash likes in at the bank, right? And that's like, I remember Frank Kern saying that, like, they're not going to take likes at the bank, so don't focus on that. And our posts, I would say, don't get the best engagement, but damn, they have made us a lot of money. And so that's like, that to me is so exciting that you can put something out there and you don't even know who's watching. You don't know who's actually receiving it. And when they reach out to you and say, hey, I want to work with you, or I want to take your program, or I want to, I want to connect with you. And you go, whoa, you've been taking this in and you have no idea. It's like, that's when the reward really happens. Because, likes are designed to hit that dopamine reward center in your brain. But when you find out the people who you didn't even know were watching, that to me is the most exciting piece.
That's awesome. Wow. And it validates what you're doing, right? Obviously people are getting value out of it. And, I had this conversation a little bit earlier with another guest where, a lot of people, they're too focused on the numbers, like you said, the likes, and the engagement, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's important. You don't want to, be putting posts out there that aren't getting anything, nobody's hearing, although that may be an indicator it's not great content. But, even if it's 10 people or 10 views or, 15 likes, like each one of those represents a human, it's not just numbers. They're not just like likes, like they're people. And if you're impacting people, even on a small scale, like you said, you can build a very profitable business from that, That
is one of the most important things that people need to get is like, if you only get 20 likes, imagine standing in front of those 20 people in a room and delivering a speech.
Yeah, right.
You're going to fucking show up, right? You're not going to be like, oh, there's only 20 people here, I'm out. No, you're going to show up for those humans, and you might even have some nerves. So yeah, I think that that's so important to note. And I used to get trapped there so much of like, oh, only 20 people liked it. And I had to have that mindset shift of, hold on, if I was with those 20 people delivering some sort of a speech, I would show up as if they were 20 humans, just like you said. So I think that's really beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah, right on. So let's see, with social media, not only can we connect and obviously we can share our knowledge and our insight, but what are some ways that you're actually like generating business? I mean, how are you literally taking people from, a viewer or, they're seeing a piece of your content to engaging with your business?
So right now, we currently have Instagram to landing page, and that's worked really well for warm market. And we're just venturing into the cold market strategies and tactics of we're using YouTube as a way to basically continue to generate where our content is sitting on there consistently, because it's a search optimized, whatever you call it. This is not my realm of of expertise, but people go onto YouTube to actually search for stuff. Right. Whereas on Instagram and Facebook, it might get lost. So our strategy right now that we've been using is putting content out consistently every Thursday and Tuesday on YouTube. And then we have our intern who takes that and she breaks it down. So she'll take one of our videos and turn it into, a couple videos. So we have, for Instagram, like 1-minute clips. So sitting down and recording a 7-minute video, if that can get you 2 pieces of content, and then you can take that content and make written posts, you're golden. So that's what we've been doing, and it's been working really well. And a lot of what we do is video. Like a lot of video, I think, is what has worked really well for us, and just directing people straight to a sales page. And soon, right now, behind the scenes, we've been working on an actual funnel, which we haven't even had yet. And just our landing page alone has generated over 50,000. And that's all warm market since March. So I recognize that eventually your warm market kind of runs out. So soon we're going to be doing more advertisements.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the success for sure. And that's really actionable, just layout and advice that you just gave everybody. I hope you guys are listening and taking notes. That was really good. And it sounds in a way like you're following, I don't even know if you know about this, but the Gary Vee content model. Have you seen that layout that he has? He's like, Gary's always putting out content, but he has one PDF that he has actually made available for people, and it's called the content model, which is exactly what you explained, where you basically video as much as you can. And then from the video, you can extrapolate all kinds of different pieces of content, whether it's little clips
Right.
or whether it's audio or an image, or like you say, write a blog post from it. So, for anybody that's like wondering, like, what kind of content I put out there, how can I put out content, what should I do? If you can get comfortable with video, all of your other problems are solved. Because like you say, you can hire a VA and they can split that thing up into a million different pieces of content. So video is where it's at.
1,000%. Yeah. Video is where it's at. Yeah. And like you said, it's so easy to extrapolate it into other pieces of content. I used to get so wrapped up in so wrapped up in thinking that I had to make like 1,000 pieces of separate content. And that was just creating unnecessary work. And I didn't know about the Gary V PDF until recently. We were already doing it. And it was shared with me. And I'm like, damn, yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in thinking that you can't say the same things over and over. Because that's what I would do. I'd be like, well, I already did a video about that this week, so I can't do a post about it, like a written post. And it's like, no. Stop making it hard on yourself.
Right. That's awesome. I'm glad we touched on that. And, again, it's meeting people where they're at. If they're on Facebook, then, they're going to want to see a cute post or whatever, a cute video. If they're on Instagram, they want to see a really nice picture, it's like meeting them where they're at and understanding how to break up your content. So it's appropriate for each, different place, whatever platform.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And don't be afraid to hire help.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's actually an interesting point. At what point in your journey did you, actually bring someone in to help you? Did you always have help, or did like friends or family, or how did that work out for you?
I was a control freak and I thought nobody else could do it better. So I was like, no, I will do it all, which was a horrible business move because you can't scale. Like, you run out of time, you get frustrated. My zone of genius should not be trying to figure out how to, freaking put together like an opt-in with the email and the stuff, right? And that's what I was doing. And it takes you away from the actual content creation. So for us, it was when we sold out. So we just launched our business in March, by the way. So when we sold out the first round, I knew like one of the best investments would be to get help. And we had hired a lot of sour lemons, a lot of mishaps, I would say. That's a whole other game, trying to find someone who is honestly is worth the money that you're paying them. That's really tough, I've learned. And so I put out a post saying, this is a non-paid position. This is a prove yourself position. This is our movement. Why do you want to be a part of it? And we got the best gal for the job. And she proved herself for 3 months. It was incredible. And she's so ingrained in the movement. And she shows up so stronger than anyone else that we had actually paid. And so that was one of the coolest business moves I think I had ever done, honestly, is to find someone who is actually willing. They love what you do so much, they're willing to do it for free.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely a good way to go about it, because I've also hired people that they're not worth their weight in salt. And, when if you're doing it virtually like I did, it sounds like you have a virtual assistant, or maybe that now it sounds like they're in person, but virtually you can't really manage that relationship. And it can be tough when, like you say, I'm the same way. I'm a perfectionist. I want things to be a certain way. I feel like nobody can do it as good as I can do it. And so to relinquish that control is tough, but it is, you're absolutely the bottleneck in your business if you try to maintain that. And you're right, you'll never be able to grow or to scale beyond a certain point. So one thing I was just going to mention, I heard another one of my guests say this as how they sort of vet their VAs, and maybe it would help for you as well. But basically, they require that the people that are applying for the job take a 30-second selfie video and just, like you say, explain to me why you think I should hire you, what you're going to do, and send me this video, And the thing is like on video, people can't really fake who they are, and make stuff up without it sort of being obvious. So, and that ended up resulting in a great VA for him as well. So I was like, I'm going to try that next time I need some help.
Cool. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I like that. And that'll weed a lot of the ones who aren't serious out as well, right?
Right. Yeah. Those who can't follow directions aren't going to do it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really cool little nugget.
So awesome. Well, let's go ahead and transition into the last topic, which is the whole work-life balance. And obviously, you guys are, I mean, you're getting started, but you have clearly a lot of growth happening in a very short amount of time. And then I know you got other things going on as well. It looks like you're a musician. I see the guitar in the background. So, like, how do you manage it all? How do you make it all work?
You know what? I was just talking about this. So my wife is my business partner. So it's not only work-life balance, it's relationship life balance and work-life balance. And I was just saying today, I haven't picked up my guitar in so long. And I would say that that is a piece that I have not mastered yet. And I'm not even working hard on it. I can't even say that. I'm working so hard on my business that I forget and I get too obsessed, I think, with business. And one of the things that we signed up for was pottery, because that takes you out of like, you cannot, this is what I learned. We've been doing it for 2 weeks now. If you even look away from this freaking spinning clay in your hand, it will fly off the thing, the disc. It's like, you have to be so present. And those kinds of activities I think are so important to take, because you cannot think about your business while you are doing pottery. So that's one thing. The other was dance. Taking dance classes, which African house music dance, like just picture that for a second.
Okay.
And I started to take that best investment for my business, because again, it took me so, like, you have to be so in the present moment. And you move your body and you get the endorphins flowing. And it's like, you get so much more creativity from those activities than you do if you're grinding away at your computer. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget to actually live. And so those are two things that I've signed up for that have been really helpful. And I still feel like it's an area that I can do a lot better on. But one thing that I can recommend is every single night, leave your phone outside of the bedroom. If you're an entrepreneur, get that shit. Like, we plug it in the kitchen, we charge it in the kitchen. It's a no phones are allowed in the bedroom. And that was such a great decision. And instead, every single night, I'll sit down and I have like a book of evidence, essentially, where I will write down all the ways I'm proud of myself for how I showed up. All the ways, testimonials, things that my students said, how I helped them. This interview is going to go in my book of evidence because I showed up today. How exciting. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs don't do enough of, is we like berate ourselves, right? We're our own worst bosses. And so if you can take that space every single night and really acknowledge the way that you are showing up, it can make a profound impact in your life.
Wow.
So,
I love that. That's awesome. And, you're right. I mean, it's always going to be a journey and it's always going to be a process. And as soon as you start focusing on one thing, another area starts to fall. I mean, that's just the nature of life. But I love, the advice of taking an activity on that is something outside of your realm of like norm, and especially like you say, pottery. I mean, I can see what you're talking about, where if you're not focused actively on the piece while it's spinning, like it's gonna fly out of balance, and before you know it, like it's ruined. So that's awesome. I mean, for me, I was just thinking, I find rock climbing to sort of be like that activity for me, because again, it's just me and the wall. And if I'm not focused on that next move and only that next move, I'm going to fall,
right.
And so it's like, it's anything really that requires your, like you say, to be present and to be aware in that moment, can be really helpful, I think, for just clearing the thoughts. And, I keep referring back to another interview that I just done, but when you remove yourself, we were talking about this, when you remove yourself from the situation, even just a little bit, to give yourself some space and a new perspective, sometimes it makes the problem not as bad as you thought it was, and you can start
1,000%. Yeah,
so
I love that.
Awesome. Well, cool deal. Well, what does Kelsey do for fun?
That would be it. I love to go to the dog park. I've recently taken up kayaking, which is another one of those things where you're out on the water and it's like a meditation.
Awesome.
And I'm going to get back into guitar.
Yes.
Dancing, a lot of the natural, just getting that natural creativity flowing and getting into the present moment. I would say that is what I do for fun. And I have so much fun building business as well. Like this to me, this conversation, so much fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I think that that's at the end of the day why we do it, right? Because it's a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you find what you're doing is not this much fun, then you need to question what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So for sure. And I highly recommend you get back on the guitar because as a musician myself, I've been playing drums since I was 10 years old. Like music is part of you, and like you need that in your life to be full and happy. So please play your guitar tonight.
Okay. I will do that. I really will. Thank you.
Cool deal. Well, Kelsey, this has been a lot of fun. I have one more question for you, which is, considering all your experience and knowledge up until this point, what is some advice that you would give to yourself maybe 5 or 10 years ago?
It really would be. This is so cliche, and cliches are cliches for a reason, right? It honestly would be to slow down and enjoy the experience. Because again, I was so hard on myself 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even a year ago, just so hard on myself. And it's just not fun. And I really do believe that life is meant to be easeful, to be joyful, and to be fun, especially if you're creating your own business. And I think that's where a lot of us can get lost because we're so hard on ourselves. We didn't do enough today, or we didn't show up strong enough. When you're addicted to personal development, oftentimes you can be addicted to that self-criticism of how you could have done better. And I truly say to myself 5 years ago, and anyone who's listening, is stop and enjoy the journey. Like truly, truly, because you only start entrepreneurship once. And if it was like an experience from hell, that's too bad. I wish I would have enjoyed it more, honestly.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and what you got going on in your world.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram at _empowered_healers, or on YouTube, the Empowered Healers Academy. We put out a lot of videos that, while we are niche towards healers, anyone can benefit from it. Because truly, if you're a human being, there is a realm of you that needs to heal. And I truly believe that there's 2 types of people that will change the world. It's healers and entrepreneurs. And once you get honed into your power and you dissolve all the lies and the limitations and the programming from your childhood, and you get really centered in yourself, that's when you can actually show up and change the world. So that's really the message that we're spreading. So thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Yeah, thank you for showing up. And there you guys have it. If you're a human, which I would expect the percentage of you are that are listening, we all have things that are holding us back and self-limiting beliefs, and the work that Kelsey's doing with the Empowered Healer, the Empowered Healer Academy, twisting my words up, but the work that you're doing over there seriously is helping and empowering people to be who they are, which is the best versions that they can be. So I love what you're doing, and I really appreciate you and your work, and thanks again for showing up today. So I guess that's it, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Have an awesome rest of your day.